Hey guys, out here doing a little bit of electrical work. It is for the AC. Technician was out to do his maintenance the other day, and customer stated that he's having to reset his breaker every once in a while. When both units were running, he checked all the electrical connections on the contactors, back through the disconnects, and came down to the electrical panel, found the breaker hot. So we're back out today to change this breaker. Customer also stated that the breaker for the water heater wanted to trip every once in a while. Let me show you what I found. All right, as you can see, I got the breaker door off already. I went and pulled the breaker for the AC out. Got us a square D 60 amp, which feeds the upstairs. See if y'all can tell it's aluminum wiring back there. And as I got that popped out, I started to see some sparks. And this is breaker here. This 30 amp is for his water heater. And look what I found. That's not what we want. Just another little tech tip on, particularly on the square Ds. They have two different types. One is their updated version, which uses this type of mounting base. This here is where it clips onto the bus bar. And then this part here is just where it clips onto the rest of your panel. But Square D has two types. This is called a Q type breaker, and that Q means nothing more than their model number. And you always want to look on the door and see what type it is. If it's a Q type, you know you need the little clips. And if it's a H type, you can use the regular style. Just thought I'd throw that out there for you so you don't have to make a return trip. Always convey to your parts guy that it is a Q type breaker. I got to checking on this breaker for the water heater and found that it actually was not even clipped on. So we're just going to push this thing on there. Boom. Just like that. So he should be good to go. We're going to get our screwdriver, tighten down the lugs, make sure everything's good there. Well, we tightened everything down on our water heater, and I went into the closet here just to make sure all of the open door, make sure all the lugs were nice and tight inside of here, and they were. Powered it up. It was pulling 24 amps. So we walked away, started heading out back to the truck, and I heard a click. Came back, and I could not hear the water heater heating anymore because of the electric water heaters. You know how they make a sound. Check voltage, only had 98 volts in the disconnect there. Came back over here, same 98 volts here. So I went to the supply house, picked up a new Q-type 60 amp and a new Q-type 30 amp, and we're going to get those replaced. Alright, we got the wires disconnected and got them dangling up high on both ends. Just going to pop this out. And we will pop this one out. And we will put our new ones in. Now, this is a aluminum conductor which goes to the AC units. Anytime you have make aluminum connections, you always want to get some no locks, antioxidant joint compound, because the aluminum and the connections will start to corrode after a while, and then you'll be in a world of trouble. So always get you some no locks. Now I'm not sure if this stuff dries out. I don't think it does, because the old stuff's still pretty soupy, but it's got a tip on it that you can snip off. But I don't need this stuff maybe once or twice a year, so I'm just gonna coat it up that way. That way it all stays nice and fresh for me. There we go. All right, well, I got my 2 breakers wired back in and got my no locks in there, as you can see. I got to looking at this bus bar and see how we got some arcing going on. That's not good. Definitely going to let the homeowner know about that. Probably should have an electrician come and address that. Anytime you have weak connections, you know, some arcing is going to happen. But in the meantime, he's got a new breaker in here. All right, we got our new breakers in. Got our 60 amp. Made sure all my lugs were nice and tight on both sides there. I'm gonna fire up this water heater and see what we get. And apparently it's not calling. Alright, I went and ran a little hot water out of the taps to get it fired up. We are pulling right at 24 amps. This is a 4,500 watt water heater. We'll show you how to do the math to confirm that we've got the right size breaker. Properly sizing a breaker is as easy as taking the watts that is on the nameplate, dividing it by the volts applied, add 10%, and then multiply that by 1.2. In this instance, we have a 5,500 watt water heater at 240 volts, gives us 22, almost 23 amps, plus 10% gives us right at 25 amps, times 1.2 comes to a 30.5 amp breaker. All right, I got a redfish meter. It's got some cool features on it where we can actually measure kilowatts and set it on kilowatts. And we put our amp probe clamps around one of the wires. And we also go and put our leads across the line voltage. And it's telling me we are doing 5.7 kilowatts. At 238 volts, giving us 24 amps on a 30 amp breaker. I think we're good to go. Alright, so we come and look at our data plate here. And it is showing that at 240 volts, we should be at 5,500 watts. And the lower one at 5,500 as well. Or at 208, we're going to be a little over 4,100 watts. Move our decimal points, and that gives you your kW. Remember back to your old math classes. I did go and check out the electrical connections in here, the wire nuts and everything is nice and tight. I did pull off our covers, make sure everything was nice and tight. I did check the heat strips individually to make sure all was good. So he's got him a bus bar in that panel that is going to have to be addressed. But that is on the electrician side of things. Remember, guys, always look at the big picture. Don't just say the breaker is weak. You want to go and check the full system, electrical system, all the way back to its load. Y'all be safe.
Hey, I appreciate y'all watching today. I hope we gave you a couple of good tech tips that you'll be able to take out into the field. A reminder that working with electricity is always dangerous. Always make sure that you're careful. Never use two hands when you're working with electricity. Always use one. The little bit about the breaker, I was actually sent out behind another tech, and the parts guy just ordered a square D breaker. So it did mean another trip to the supply house, and the customer wasn't all that happy. So it's very vital that we get the right information to our parts guys, or go pick it up yourself. The next video is going to be on a Trane heat pump with a knocking sound that happens sporadically. I've seen 2 or 3 of these, and I've gotten in touch with Trane on the fix. So y'all join us on the next one, and hopefully we can show you some things there. Y'all be good, be safe, like and subscribe. We appreciate it. Y'all be safe out there.